Hello everybody, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. It's been a little while since I've been on here. It is good to be back. I hope that everyone is doing extremely well. It is amazingly beautiful outside today. Just a gorgeous day. Out in the woods once again. So, for this video, I wanted to keep it pretty simple. Wanted to get back to some basics. Talk about being in the present moment. Learning how to utilize what is there. Learning to be receptive when the time is right to be receptive, and when to use more of that fire nature, that outgoing type energy which expands and builds, the masculine and the feminine energies, the two pillars on the tree of life. We see them in Freemasonry, we see them in Kabbalah. It's everywhere, these two quote-unquote opposing forces, and the reconciliation of these two and all the degrees of manifestation, in between these two. Kind of all the little nuances of the entire system and the different degrees. If you understand all of these things, you learn to bring them into your own understanding, so that you as source awareness can be aware of what's going on, through the process, and how each of us are evolving and growing on our own path. I wanted to talk a little bit about the 4 cardinal virtues today and how they can be utilized. Also known as, I believe, the pagan virtues as well. You have like the 3 traditional theological values, or known as the 3 Christian virtues. They're also the main 3 principal rounds on Jacob's ladder as well. That's faith, hope, and love. But the 4 cardinal virtues, or the quote-unquote pagan virtues, I don't see them called that very often, but I have seen it in some works. That is Temperance, Fortitude, Prudence, and Justice. So, and each of those have different qualities. They can be kind of misunderstood, and are usually, misunderstood, or at least not appreciated, and should I say, kind of assimilated to their full capacity. They could be integrated a lot more. So let's go ahead and let's start with the three theologian virtues. Faith. Especially in the religious world, there's kind of this quote-unquote idea of what faith is, and kind of the surface level understanding of what faith is. And faith is where you kind of, that there's something more, and you have a belief that there's more, and you'll kind of hold on to that no matter what. You're not sure what the nature of it is, but you believe in your higher power, whatever it is. If you want to take that one step further, so faith through the understanding of true knowledge and integration, it's not only faith, but it becomes knowingness. You come to know thyself through experience. You come to know that you are one with this source awareness, what you've seen previously externally as God. You start to understand, you start to have a more intimate and personal connection to this force, which, as I've always said, there's one source or one ultimate God, but there's a whole pantheon of existences in between us and that. So it's important to understand these different spirits, you know, what their influences are, what areas of reality they govern over, you know, what archetypal forces do they control, all of these sorts of things. But that connection to ultimate source, you know, our truest, highest self, which ultimately truly knows and understands all, you know, this would be like the true all-seeing eye, you know, of ultimate source. So true faith is coming to an understanding that you are one with that ultimate force, and you can channel that in the present moment. You can choose to really take a moment to, and especially connecting with your inner child, and through acts such as Temperance, we'll get into that soon, but really just learning to appreciate and be able to utilize what is right here in the present moment. There's so much energetically, and there's so much, you know, beauty that surrounds us constantly, and really learning to take that in and absorb it, and kind of help to reconnect with that feeling that you had as a young child. Emotions that are very beautiful, you know, and may have been repressed as you grew older, but as you start to, you know, work on the body through maybe some physical exercise, things of this nature, all of these things that I'm going to be talking about, they're all interconnected, and they all kind of help build you up into a stronger and better version of yourself without like struggling. Oh, I think I just saw a baby deer and maybe the mom back there somewhere. So that was really neat. I wasn't able to, don't know that I can really flip the camera around like that. I might be able to, but they were gone so quick, couldn't catch them anyway. A few spider webs here and there. I did go on a run earlier today, so I am feeling pretty good. So faith, we pretty much covered, you know, what faith is. What is the next of these three theologian or quote unquote Christian virtues? The next one would be hope. And hope kind of goes in line with faith. It's, you know, you can have hope that something will come to pass. Maybe it's something you really desire. Maybe it's something you really want to have happen. You know, and then once it comes to fruition, once it has already passed, you know, that hope can go away. You're like, oh, you know, I quote unquote already accomplished my objective. Maybe it wasn't as good as you thought it was. But true hope goes beyond this. True hope is not only just grasping, you know, clawing at things, hungering for more. But true hope is like the sun. It penetrates through. It's the light. Where's that light at? There it is, shining forth. True hope is like a ray or a burst of sunshine. Got some dragonflies too. Lots of symbols that nature reflects back at us. The deer, and now the dragonflies. They're like neon green. Very cool looking. So hope, true hope. True hope penetrates through, and it knows that it can build a world that is built on higher ideals. You know, imagine the kingdom of earth, Malkuth, being more, you know, inclined and aspiring towards true knowledge of self. If everyone is kind of on this path of wanting to understand and know themselves deeper, it will, in effect, have an outwards effect that will bring the hope and the salvation, you know, of a new kingdom, the kingdom of self. You see, it's not about conquering lands or conquering enemies, none of that stuff. It's about conquering the self, but it's not fighting the self. It's allowing the self to be the self. Allowing yourself to be who you are. accepting that and loving yourself for what that is. So hope, that hope of a bright future. And then love, of course. Some say charity, so faith, hope, and charity. But the true esoteric meaning of charity is love. And a lot of, people in modern times equate charity with, monetary donations or things of that nature, which that is a good thing. You can do a lot of good with the tool of money. That's all money is. It's a tool, and it is symbolic of energy. It's a very water, it's the money goes in the bank. So a lot of these, money terms are analogous with like aquatic terms or things relating to water. So you got the bank, money flow. See? But anyway, getting back to the point. So charity or love for all humans, this is the unconditional love that through acceptance of the self and through that unconditional love of self, you are able to outwardly reflect that love into the world, and you'll see more of it in your everyday experience. So when you're more true to yourself and what you need, things of that nature, learning to give yourself unconditional love, remember the things that are, truly important to you, and then investing in those things, investing in self-love, you will see that reflected more in the world without. As within, so without. So love's it's really pretty simple. There are a lot of adversarial forces of nature that can come with, trying to love certain people, or, and these are things that are meant to test and push boundaries sometimes, but in the end, you learn, who truly has unconditional love, and the more of that you give, the more of that you will receive. And it doesn't have anything to do with, freely giving away your energy in such a way that people who would take advantage of it would do so. It's about reciprocalness too. I don't know if reciprocalness is really a word, but being reciprocal, being able to meet on that level. But then also being able to, maybe somebody helped you out once and now they're in a hard position. We can always be willing to extend a helping hand and help that person. And we kind of build this network, this connection of good souls who help each other out, and we're able to show unconditional love in that way. So faith, hope, and love. I think I covered those all right there. So now we'll move on to temperance. Temperance is really just learning to, yes, overcome your passions to a degree, your hungers, your desires, those things, which if allowed to just run rampant entirely might destroy the self. So it's learning to kind of subdue those things a little bit, so that when you do, go to enjoy maybe a little bit of excess, you're able to enjoy it even more so. But really it's a form or a way of kind of cutting back on some things or avoiding excess. So let's say if you're a smoker, for instance, instead of just sitting around, smoking a pack of cigarettes all day, you kind of keep yourself busy. You work on tasks, you work on things that you really enjoy and love in life. And and you wait until the end of the day, maybe, if you need to smoke that cigarette, and it's just going to be so much more enjoyable. You're going to feel a lot better about it. So temperance is kind of a way of, once again, learning to not having to always use something to run away from the present moment, but you're able to be here with this present moment, and you're willing to be with, the emotions that come with this present moment. And then in doing so, and in embracing that, you're able to just really enjoy it more. You can tap more into your power. And once again, it comes back to that inner child, that feeling, of health and vitality, and the freedom to explore things new, learn new things, and have new experiences in life. That spirit is what's going to allow you to be able to kind of get your power back in a way. So temperance is the first of these cardinal virtues. And so there's a lot of strength, a lot of potential that can come from that. The next one is fortitude. And fortitude is just really having, a straightforward, noble, and steady purpose of your mind, where you can achieve objectives, and you can really be the brave, be the strong, unmovable mover in the storms of life. So it's no matter what life's going to put, make you face, you have the fortitude, you have the strength, you have the nobility of spirit. You just have a strong spirit. You're able to channel that spiritual fire and go through the trials of life and, move through them and, really just face life's challenges that way. So that one's really kind of straightforward. And once again, having the strength of spirit to do these things. Like today, for instance, I made myself go on a run today, and I feel a lot better for it. It's something that my body can definitely tell that it was a beneficial thing that I needed to do. And running allows your body to sweat, and that gets rid of certain toxins. So all of this, working out, that's something that definitely takes some level of fortitude. You got to be strong, keep your body strong and your mind strong. Now, prudence is the third of these cardinal virtues. And so prudence, a lot of people, when they hear the word prude or whatever, they kind of get the wrong idea of what prudence is. It doesn't mean just you don't ever go out and do anything, and basically somebody who's no fun or is not willing to take risks. That's not really what it is. So being prudent is kind of being able to speculate or look down the road of life. You're looking at all the different options that you have. You're looking at all the different things you could do, and you're trying to kind of navigate and see ahead of when things come up, what would be the best direction for me to manifest the outcome, that I desire. What are the best life decisions I can make that are going to help me go down the path that I'm wanting to go down? So that's what prudence really is. Kind of just looking down the line and saying, oh, is this in my best interest? Awesome. If it's not, then no. And, the more you stay in alignment with that, you're going to help yourself be true to who you truly are. Maybe there's that friend that you really don't feel like hanging out with, this particular night because you want to work on something. You've got something that your inner spirit is trying to tell you, look, maybe you should do this instead. Instead of having, just going out and having a night of fun or whatever, and then it may not really be as good of an experience as you would have hoped. Maybe it might even drain you of some of your energy. But if you would have worked on your project or whatever it was that you wanted to do instead, you listen to the inner calling, and this is just an example. I'm not really saying this is how it all has to go down, but these are just examples. But you listen to that inner calling, and you go through with it, and you feel good about it, you made the right decision. So prudence is looking down the line and determining which path is, best for the outcome that you are desiring, and not getting too caught up in things that are going to, pull you away from your objective. And then the last of these cardinal virtues is justice. And a lot of people have a very black and white view of what justice is. You know, we see that with like the checkerboard pattern with a lot of, you know, even in just like in law enforcement and things of that nature. It's a lot of black and white. You see that kind of dualistic thing going on. The police, even in the word police, there's polarity there. And, you know, the blue and the red, that's really like Geburah. If we look at the tree of life, that would be Geburah and Hesed. So, or fire and water. It's these different, you got two different ends of the polarities, just two extremes. So just something interesting to point out there, that I thought was super interesting, that I kind of came across a long time ago. I think Mark Passio used to talk about that quite a bit. But true justice, you know, is more like, it's more of like a spiritual thing. It's more, you know, karma. If you do, you know, things that are, you know, in your heart are just wrong, you know, there's going to be karmic consequences for that. And the more damage you are doing, you know, the more you are pulling people from their natural path, you know, from their natural evolution. You know, there's going to be punishments for that. There's always a time and place for certain restrictions. So there's different archetypal forces which just have different governances, you know, in the matrix of reality. Some's role are to bring, you know, catalytic restricting things, you know, especially like Saturnian energies. Saturn's going to be very limiting. And then some energies are going to be more focused around liberating the consciousness, freeing them. So justice is really, I think, karmically, the worst thing you can do is really just not focus on yourself and your own development and your own inner temple. It's when you're trying to interfere with the rest of what everybody has going on, especially if you're interfering with somebody who's obviously on their path and is really on a genuine, you know, path of doing what it is they love. And that's really their dharmic role here. They're doing what it is they're meant to do. And you try to interfere with that, that's going to bring, you know, cosmic justice. You know, we could call it celestial justice. You know, if you want to look at it more from an archangelic, you know, symbolic perspective, if you will, archetypal perspective. So, all right, everyone. I think I'm going to go ahead and finish this video, wrap it up. So I want to thank all of you for joining in on this video. If you are not already subscribed to the channel and you like this content, you know, go ahead and please subscribe. Make sure you give the video a like. Make sure you share this content with like-minded people. If there's somebody out there you think that could benefit from this sort of thing, you know, share it with them. And I know there was somebody that wanted me to do a video fairly soon on talismans or sigils. That was one of those two. So I will go over that pretty soon. As soon as I get a chance, I have to compile some information for that. And I've been staying busy as always. You know this. All of you who have been following me. I'm always working on stuff. So I've got that video in the plans, in the works. There's going to be a video giving a shout out to just different YouTubers. So that's something I'm also going to be working on. And we were getting into Cagliostro and Egyptian Freemasonry, and I did want to do a video. I never did end up doing a video on the actual like ritual work of that. And getting into that chapter, so I do want to do that as well. I do have a new member on the Patreon as well. I think Susan, if I remember correctly. So thank you for joining the Patreon, Susan. And those of you who want to get into the Patreon, I will leave a link in the description of this video. If you can't find it there, just go to the description of my YouTube channel. If you go to my main page, you should find a link to the Patreon there. It's called Occult Perspectives as well. And I do want to do a video soon breaking down what my Patreon is all about. So I do have it tiered a little bit differently now. If you do go in there, it's going to be a little bit different. So $10 is going to give you access to, you know, all of the content in there. And $5 will get you access to most of the content. And I believe it also gives you access to the video as well of the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram. So I'll be doing a video going into, you know, detail on what's on the Patreon as well. So as you can tell, I have lots of stuff planned for the future. But for now, everyone, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you all very shortly. Peace and blessings. Take care.